Good morning, winners. Happy Thursday to you. 2023 is still your year. You've got September, October, November, December. So, guys, before George goes, I see we've lost a Bitcoin influencer in BitBoy Crypto. I see that his organization has taken him down. That if you look at the story of BitBoy Crypto, it's identical to the things that I talked to you guys about the ego and about human beings and about, you know, what do you stand for? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? And so today, when George gets done, I'm going to have a little talk with you. It's not about BitBoy Crypto at all, believe me. That's about all I'm going to say about that. It's more about you. I still say there's a little more down to this, and then probably our bull market starts. I told you guys back in early August that our last chance for a rally this year will be starting, toward the end of September, maybe even the first week of October. I not only feel good that that can take place, I think there's a lot of things lined up for that to take place. I'm not the only one that thinks that. There are a lot of big players on Wall Street positioning themselves for a move into the end of 2023. Let's keep our fingers crossed for that because nobody knows. And I also think there's a lot of people north of Richmond who think it can happen as well. So anyway, George, take it away, my friend.
So we do have, Global Crypto Wealth Study reveals 6 Bitcoin millionaires and 88,000 crypto millionaires. I know some of those 88,000 are right in this group, but it looks like a study also reveals that 88,200 individuals worldwide who hold over 1 million in cryptocurrencies. Of these, almost half, 40,000, have Bitcoin holdings exceeding 1 million. So, we're in good company, and it looks like, there's 6 Bitcoin billionaires, but 22 billionaires whose holdings spread across multiple cryptocurrencies. So, things are heating up again. So half of people in Turkey now own crypto, the report says, and KuCoin, I guess, is the 4th largest exchange, but they are saying the adoption has increased from 40% to 52% of the Turkish population, and the reason for that is the Turkish lira is getting inflated, and so they are trying to find a better place to store their wealth. And crypto seems to fit that.
Yeah, the
Visa
other reason for that is their banking is horrific.
Oh, is it?
I was working on a $4 billion project not that many months ago. In fact, it was when I was out of the country last time, George. And I was working with a banker in Turkey, and I was working with a multi-billionaire in Turkey. And I was having this conversation. The United States is a spoiled country. We've had, for the most part, freedom for a long time. Therefore, we get all the attention. So as the world turns, we get all the attention. Why? Because a lot of these other places, they're already communistic. They're already socialistic. They're already all the isms. And the United States is the last takedown. You're going to, if you're living in the United States, and I know not everybody here is, you're going to feel it more than the guy who's been living in socialism for his whole life. So as we move through time and space over this next decade or two, and I mentioned this to you guys in a blanket statement not long ago, you're going to feel far less free than you ever did before. Because look, these people that are in control, no one's stepping up to stop them. There's a few people that try to get in the way, and then those people that are in charge get clever and figure out a different way to do it. And so until the populace of people stop fighting each other, you don't have to pick up a gun to go to civil war. You can just walk through the street wearing a MAGA hat. And the guy who's offended by you wearing a Make America Great Again hat, oh my God, that is heresy. I can't believe someone living in America would want to make America great again. We must fight that guy. And so the point is that down in Turkey, it's already happened there. It's already been that way for some time. But in the United States, over these coming years, there's going to be a lot to talk about. I think a person has to, especially if you have newfound wealth, you're one of the 6 billionaires, you're one of the 88,000 millionaires. I think you have to consider, do I want to spend my time there? Have yourself a backup plan. Just think about it clearly. You can go to another country and get a really nice condominium for $500,000. It's a backup plan. It's a last case scenario, but it's just going to be, we will be in the United States heading toward what they're dealing with in Turkey over these next 10 years or so, where what we're here to do is tell you how bad the world's about to get. See if we can't navigate the waters for you.
This Chrome extension can steal your passwords and Google has no problem with it. So basically, this was really kind of, this was unknown to me, but researchers from the University of Wisconsin-Madison recently uploaded a proof of concept to the Chrome web store to show users passwords can be extracted from websites' source code. In examining the text input fields of web browsers, the researchers found that Chrome has greater privileges than it should due to its coarse-grained permission model it uses. I don't know what that means, but that's why. This allows extensions to retrieve the data from these fields. Okay, so, if you're using Chrome, I'm not sure if this is a problem with Brave. I didn't have time to do research on this, but the problem is the researchers found that popular websites with visitors in the millions, including Gmail, Facebook, and Amazon, to name a few, store users' passwords in plain text within the HTML code of their pages, making it possible for extensions to see what they are. So basically, when you type your password in, or you use a password manager to gain access from a website that you're using Chrome and this extension is there, it types it in and stores it momentarily before it sends it in plain text so that some extensions can read your passwords. So, as we know, that's one reason why you want to use a password manager so that if some passwords are compromised, you don't compromise a lot of your accounts because a lot of people reuse them. And you also want to make sure you have two-factor or multi-factor authentication on that. So if someone gains your password, they're not necessarily going to be able to gain access to whatever account that is. Because I have a really sad story at the last slide here. Apple opens application for security research device program. And I found this really kind of cool. Apple launched a security research device, an SRD program, enabling security researchers to examine the security features of specially built hardware variant of their iPhone 14 Pro. So basically, what is happening is they're allowing researchers, developers to ask. You have to put a request in to Apple, and if they approve what you're trying to research or what you're trying to develop, they will send you an iPhone 14 Pro that's unlocked with all the security features disabled. Now, you can't take it out in public. You can't use it for anything but research. And the reason why I thought this was cool is, number one, Apple feels that their operating system and hardware are to the point where they shouldn't have that many flaws, and that they are trying to harden their phones and allowing the public to go in and see what they can find. Because if you find something, I mean, there are some great bounties on hardware and software bounties on bugs. So you could earn up to $500,000 if you find a really nasty bug at Apple. In fact, one of my times at Apple, I was with a group that I worked with consultants on getting hardware out to them before it was officially launched. So we have this is just a little update, but Apple backed out of controversial child protection features, and now we know why. So, we did cover this where there was a big backlash of Apple trying to introduce a new child safety protection, which would go through and scan all your images on iCloud. And basically everybody was like, no, 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 you can't do that. And part of the reason for that, and well, probably the major reason for that, is that it would leave some vulnerabilities. I mean, scanning every user's privately stored iCloud data could create new threat vectors for data thieves to find and exploit. So, this kind of came up because I read something or heard it, I don't remember where, but there's this group that is really, after Tim Cook and Apple, like, how could you do this? You're exploiting children, and they don't understand the technology. They don't know that just because you think you're programming something right, that it's going to work all the time. And so I'm, two thumbs up for Apple to say, no, this is not going to happen, because it could, it could open up a can of worms that we just don't know about and find out after the fact. So thank you, Apple. China linked bad, bizarre Android spyware targeting Signal and Telegram users. So anybody that is on Android, frankly, on iPhone, any platform, make sure you're getting the correct app when you download it and install it. I know victims have been primarily detected in Germany, Poland, and the US, followed by Ukraine, Australia, Brazil, Denmark, Hong Kong, Hungary, Lithuania. Bottom line is, if you read through this, and what it does, it is really a nasty, nasty thing to have installed on your phone. It will reach out and infect other things, but just be careful what you download and install on your phone if you're not using it. I was talking to someone yesterday and they said, so, I know you've said this before, but should I just uninstall apps that I have on my phone that I'm not using? And the answer was, heck to the yes. Take off what you're not using. And if you use something, let's say you use an app once a year for whatever reason, download it, use it, and then delete it. And then when you need it the next year, download it, use it, and delete it again. Don't keep extra apps on there, because I don't know if it's in this set of stories, but there have been companies that have put out an application, and they didn't have time, and someone else bought it, and then it turned into malware. So be careful what you're installing, not only on your iPhone, your Android, but Windows and on your Mac. This is one that you really need to be careful, but Mac users hit by atomic stealer malware via malicious Google search ads. So basically, we've talked about this in the past, where there may be legitimate companies that are compromised, and when they're compromised, the bad actors will take and use their credentials to go and buy bogus ads on Google and other platforms, so that they can get malware installed on your computer, on your iPhone, on your Android. So as a quick refresher, once a Mac is infected with Amos, which is the atomic Mac stealer, it can steal iCloud, keychain passwords. Those are those that you do not want to have happen. Credit card information, files, crypto wallets, and more. We have someone in our group that lost something, and it says, "Hi George, I just got hacked for over 1.2 million on my crypto. I know the funds are mostly likely gone, but is there anything I should be doing? My AOL account got hacked yesterday. Did not realize that until today I saw my drafts and some information in it I thought I had deleted years ago." And we haven't had, Jay, one of these letters in a very long time. And I do not like reading this. I don't like that it happened to someone, and yet it did. And so this is just a reminder, guys. 1.2 million right now, Jay, you can do the calculation, is going to be a freaking lot of money later on. And
15 to 20 million in 2025.
yeah. And so everybody sit down and think, if you ever digitized, if you ever typed in, if you ever did anything with your 12 words, whether it be Atomic Wallet, your ledger, consider it compromised. Once it's on the internet, it's always on the internet. Don't think that just because you've deleted it, that it's not somewhere that someone can't go through, find it, and steal all your funds, because it happens, and it will happen to you if you've decided to do that. It's a simple task. If you think you've ever done it, if you just think you've ever done it, go ahead, order a ledger, order a Trezor, get a new atomic wallet, and move all your funds, and never digitize it unless you know what you're doing. Never type it in a keyboard, because you don't know what you have on your computer. We don't know what we don't know. And I love that phrase, because it's so many things in life go by that. But one of the reasons why I don't like Trezor is because you're typing. When you're seeing your 24 words on your ledger, you're seeing them and you're physically writing them down. Unless you have a camera over your shoulder, yeah, don't do it in a public place. Then that is your vulnerability. But it breaks my heart to see this happen with someone, because they didn't know what they didn't know until it happened to them, and they were like, oh yeah, I had this stuff at one time. Obviously in AOL. And I know this person probably does not feel very happy right now. But this is a reminder that yes, this was sent to me Monday at 2:10 p.m. In the doldrums of crypto. And yes, it can happen to you. And so please, take precautions. If you think you've ever done it, just change it. Change it now, so that I don't want to have to ever read another letter like this again. So we're going to leave it on that note, but unfortunately, that's it is what it is.
Well, I know my partner well, and so I hope the rest of you guys heard George's voice cracking as he read this. It's because he cares. He cares a freaking ton. He doesn't want you guys losing crypto. And so I just want you guys to know you have somebody right here that's cheering for you, wanting your success, not running scandals in their family, all those different things. And they're here every week to try and help you improve. Thank you, George.
Yep. And I want to say one other thing. If you feel embarrassed because you did something and you want to ask a question, don't feel embarrassed. I don't care. I don't have the judgment of, oh, well, that was a stupid thing to do, because it's not my life. So if you have those questions and you're scared to ask, well, break through that fear and email in and say, well, I did this, could I be vulnerable? Because get your ego out of the way and do what is correct on the tech side. So, okay, now back to you.
Yeah, so all I was going to add to that, since you made that comment about not being afraid to email in and drop the ego, I'm going to give you guys a blanket statement that you can think about. You can think about it all week. You can think about it for the next month. And if you think about this statement I'm about to give you, and I'm encouraging you guys to write it down, if you think about it, you can actually have a chance of removing all ego in your life to where now you're free. And here's what the statement is. Most people are not afraid of failing. They are afraid of the perception from others of them failing. Let me say it again. Most people are not afraid of failing. They are afraid of the perception from others of them failing, meaning that if they're by themselves in their house and no one's around, they have no problem with failing. They're not embarrassed. They don't care. They laugh it off. They never think about it. But when they fail in front of other people, that's their greatest fear. If you'll take that information I just gave you and begin to meditate on that, cross-examine it, cut yourself open a time or two, look inside, see what you're made of, you can change that forever. And here's all I'll tell you is if you get that little fear out of your life, being afraid of the perception of others, whether it's failing or anything else, you can actually live a free life. You can live a life where you go on and it's unbelievable. Like you just can't even imagine how good life can be by just getting that to pierce. In other words, what I would say to you is, do you want to do something in your life that's penetrating? All right, do something within yourself that's penetrating. That's penetrating to get rid of ego. And when you get rid of ego, you'll find that every single thing you engage in your life, you find yourself being free in it because you don't have to be tied up in the ego around it. And let me tell you, human beings have tons of ego, male and female. Males are worse, but males and females have tons and tons and tons of ego. Get the ego out of your life, and then everything else comes. I always say to people when I'm working with them in a business environment and I can tell that there's an ego problem, right? I say to them, listen, drop the ego and take the cash. Drop the ego and take the cash. I would rather take the cash over the ego 100 times to Sunday than take the ego. So anyway, that's not my talk today. I thought that was fitting right here for George in the thing he was talking about. And I'll say it to you one more time. Most people are not afraid of failing. They are afraid of the perception from others of them failing. Write it down, meditate on it, think about it, carry it with you for a while. 6 months from now, 6 months from now, if you're still thinking about that, I can make you a promise. Here's something I can predict 100%. You will be a different person. I can't tell you where Bitcoin's going to be 6 months from now. I can guess, probably pretty close. Maybe get it wrong, maybe get it right. Pretty good chance of getting it right. But I can guarantee you that one statement I just gave you will change your life in so many ways. Patrick Bet-David questioned me last week. He said, what do you want to be? What do you want to be? And fortunately for me, this is something that I have thought a lot about. I think that would be an understatement. I was going to try to overstate it, but I've thought a lot about what do I want to be? In other words, who do I want to be? What do I want to be? There's a lot of people here, not just Jay. This is not a small, teeny tiny group of people that don't have any real money in crypto. There's a lot of people here with millions and millions and millions of dollars in crypto. So with that said, who do you want to be? When it becomes 60 and you take it out, when it becomes 100, you come back to the market the next time with 20 and that becomes 400 million. Who do you want to be? And so when Patrick posed that question, I was very able, very quickly to be able to tell Patrick exactly who and what I want to be. When that happens for you, who and what you want to be. And there was somebody in the group who asked the question, well, how on earth do we give money to the Underground Railroad to go save children and not get involved in other people's karmic entanglement? Like, it's just a phenomenally good question because it's very tough. And what I would tell you is you're not going to get it right every time. But as I went away from that live stream thinking about that question, it perplexed me even more. My answer to who and what I want to be, and that is, here's who I want to be. I want to be a private funder. I want to be a pipe that money flows through of people who have a bigger mouth than me, like Patrick Bet-David. Got a massively big mouth. The man was born to talk. He's brilliant at what he does. And if you're looking into some of the things he's putting out now that he's out of his insurance business, he's beginning to talk about things that matter beyond even politics. He's building a media company because he can't become president because he wasn't born here. So in building that media company, he's going to be a threat to all of the system that wants to steal, lie, and cheat. That's his goal. I want to be a quiet, private funder to people like Patrick, not just Patrick, so that we can do two things. I want to bring awareness so that we can have a raise in consciousness. Because here's what I would say. When that question was asked last week, what about giving money to the Underground Railroad and saving kids? Some of those kids that are getting saved are supposed to be there. It's part of their karmic clearing based on what they did in their last lifetime, and it's horrendous. Makes me cry. So the point is this. You save that child, and then while you've been doing that, there was 1,000 more sold and 1,000 more stolen. So it's a revolving door that never stops. So how do you stop it? The way you stop it is you basically get to the seed, and you've got to kill the seed. Well, right now, if you go on social media or you go on YouTube about any topic, it could be cooking, it could be media, it could be whatever, who brings up the topic pornography, haven't looked at any porn. Last year, 2 billion with a B new outlets on the internet popped up for people to get pornography. Guess what? The way to raise consciousness. Those people are doing that because the consciousness of human beings has dropped so stinking low. Like the things that are on people's mind is walking the owner. The things that are on people's mind are at the lowest consciousness level of all times. Well, how do I make a difference? You can go into a small country, a small region, and you can give them all free food and free water and free housing and say, look what I've done, I'm amazing, and beat your chest. Or you can go there, help those people to build their own homes, maybe you're providing the material, build their own gardens, dig their own wells, maybe you're providing the funding for that, and educate them to move in like manner. If enough people have their awareness raised about a topic, then you can raise consciousness and take it to a level higher. Then and only then can you have a change. Those types of projects, you have to have delayed gratification. I think it was Confucius that said, if you plan for 1 year, plant rice. If your plan is for 100 years, educate children. When you set out to raise the consciousness of the masses, the movie Sound of Freedom, how many people saw that movie and walked out of there? I know I heard this all the time. How many people walked out of that movie? I had no idea. And I had no idea that was happening on this planet, right? No one's ever raised it to their awareness. $23 million to make that movie, of which 21 million was given by Tony Robbins. My hand clap to Tony Robbins. And look at how it raised awareness. The raising of awareness might take a decade before you have a raising of the consciousness. Who do you want to be? What do you want to be? And what I would tell you guys is that if I were to take everything I do in my life, I think that all of it is possible because of the power that's within me. When I was a Christian, don't be afraid of failing, afraid of the perception of others of them failing. Don't be intimidated by that. Just know those people started too. They were at the bottom of the ladder. He who would climb the ladder must start at the bottom. There's nothing that can stop me. Man, guys, I'm here to tell you on this crypto game, they're setting you up for 2 decades. How old are you? You're 30? Okay. When you're 50, you would have had 2 decades of bull runs, probably 4 to 5 bull runs in the next 2 decades of an asset class that none of it's growing as slow as Microsoft. None of it's growing as slow as that would have had the kind of growth of a smaller crypto like Tesla. You go out over 10-year span and you add up all the splits. If you were in it the whole time, it's a massive X factor. Still only that of a smaller crypto, not a Bitcoin where it went 2 million%. So you guys have the ability to stand at the bottom of your ladder and get started. Don't let where somebody else is on the ladder intimidate you. I share it with you guys in hopes that somebody there is going, man, this is exactly what I needed to hear. 100 people are going, man, that is what I needed at that moment, Jay. That's why I share it. And when I feel that tug inside, I share. It's not my every week conversation with you guys. I have to give to you what's being tugged and pulled on within me. Sometimes I need to share with you what's going on with me that I've learned from. But I think we're going to start a bigger bull market. And some of you in 24 are going to come into an amount of money you've never seen before in your life, except the last bull market you were in, and you watched it go back to nothing. It's honestly not about learning a lesson. It's about mastering yourself. Says Jay, we feel so inspired by the various binge team stories of liquidating jet skis. So my wife and I have agreed to liquidate our IRA and sell one of our cars so we can get extra dry powder. The bulk of our portfolio is in the blue chips. Luna is not going to have the parabolic move that you saw the first time around. It's going to have more of a muted move. that hype, it won't have that hype again. It's going to be good. What I would tell you is if you're putting thousands of dollars, which it sounds like you are by basically liquidating an IRA, is I would stay with like, I would go Chainlink, both. I would get them both. I think Chainlink does better. It's just you won't have the big X factor. And kudos to you for liquidating your IRA. I know that most people on the planet would not congratulate you for that, but I have to tell you, if you look into the goals set forward by an IRA plan, the number one first thing is they're going to say to you, how awesome would it be for you down the road to have this set guaranteed income, even though it's a little less than your income today? I'm sorry, who is it again that 20 years from now wants to live on less than they have today? The whole business of an IRA is to keep you broke. I know there's a lot of acronyms around IRA. I can't remember them right now, but all of them have to do with how broke it keeps you. So I, for one, me personally, and give you a hand clap for liquidating your IRA and taking your financial future into your own hands. Congratulations, Gary. George, if you would just read us out the next question.
Okay, and this is from Marty. I'm holding physical silver, the equivalent of silver eagles. I have the receipts, and they are premium condition. My question is, where do you see the price by Christmas?
Can you tell me where silver is going to be? Because I want to liquidate it, and maybe I want to wait till Christmas to do it so I can go into crypto, and then I can come back to silver. And I think it's the wrong plan. Remember this. Silver and precious metals historically are very, very slow moving. So let's just I'm going to let you answer your own question, but I'm going to give you some things to think about. You had 156% move, and this was coming out of the COVID drop where everything was in a massive run. And it went 156% in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, roughly from the bottom, 6 months. So let's call it 5.5 months. You had 156% move. Here you had a 486% move. Okay, this was October 08 to 8, 9, 10, 11. Almost 4 years. 500% move. But most of what precious metals does is this: months and months and months of sideways and accumulation. To try and do that where you flip back and forth, what I would tell you is this: if it were me, I'm telling you as if it were me, I'm not telling you what to do, you be on your journey. If it were me, I would be out of precious metals altogether. Well, Jay, you're in precious metals. Yeah, I'm in precious metals, but I'm in precious metals with some of my 100x money, and it's a very small position. It's the ability to have some precious metals around in case you need it. So why, Jay, would you say be out of precious metals altogether? Because it's the slowest horse in the race. And let's just assume for 1 second in time that silver goes to $100 and you get 3 times your money. Let's go a step further. Let's say it goes to 150. I doubt it. It is kind of set up for a wave 3 here. When it breaks, it's going to be a good wave. It's going to be a hard wave, meaning it's going to move probably with more vigor than normal. And let's measure, if this was 150%, you can probably expect this to be at least 450, at least 3 times that, which again takes you back a little over $100. Let's see if we can get it right there. 450, $122. And so today it's 23. So you get 4.5 times your money. And now you're again going, okay, what do I do? And I'm going to sell it, and now I need to sell it, and then you got to move it, and you got to do all those things. I'm a bigger believer of put your money in something that's going to get 20, 30, 40 times your money as an average, which is crypto. If you're here and you're new and you don't believe in that, just ask some of your cohorts around this channel and they'll tell you, yeah, it's 20, 30, 40 times your money, sometimes 100 times your money. Most of you here made 100 plus times your money most of you here made an unlimited X factor. Who can put the X factor on something you got for free? You've got to go to zero, take it to the price and go, wow. The fastest horse in the race is crypto, guys. If you're not buying precious metals with 100, 200, 300x your money, and look, I didn't get out of crypto and go put $1 million in precious metals. Most of that money, however much it was, let's just say it was 200, most of it went towards silver. Why? Because silver is the fastest horse in the race between silver and gold, and will be, in my opinion, the fastest horse in the race in the future. I'm giving you a bigger thought process than that, because what you're trying to do is play a game that usually is a losing game for most people. Back and forth and get in and get out. That's why I'm not a trader. That's why I'm not getting into all my positions and taking all the time of waiting to then build a position back in December and January, so that then when things went up in June and we had 200-300%, you didn't see me just selling it all. I'm not here to be a silver trader or a gold trader. I'm here to be an investor. Your gains are realized later than you think, but they're way bigger than you think, especially in crypto.
Jay, I've been self-improvement programs for over 20 years, and I've never heard of what you said or just said about the perception of failure. That's worth the price of admission.
Thank you, Jim. I'm just telling you my opinion. In other words, you guys have heard me say this before. What's true to you is true to you. But the way you come up with your truths is by being on your journey. And so there is a ton of information about this out there. I did not get this from any text. Look, there's people that are prophesying stuff today, just like Michelle White Dove. Crypto, Florida, rain, water, the East Coast having tons of water. This year, the East Coast has had nothing but water. I also encouraged you to go and read history. When you go and read history, and especially around the time of the writings of the Bible, you're gonna come away with 1 million questions, way bigger than the one you're asking me.
Okay. Well, it is after 11. I know your voice. People are asking for the spelling of that, what you mentioned, and so I will get that. I will put that word underneath this so that we can get the correct spelling, because I don't know how to spell it, to be honest.
Well, hang on a minute. Let me just go to a different window here that you guys can't see. And then what we'll do is I'll answer the question, but I'll send the answer to the whole entire team. So if you guys will read your text, you're about to get the answer. And by the way, I know people that took this particular product and actually cured cancer in some of their family members. So a lot of the same attributes, people were finding that their cancer was getting better on ivermectin. Here's what I would tell you guys, okay? I don't consider this information that cannot be shared. You got to read between the lines. This is not like massive, super private information. And so I would say to you this, that's the product line. It's the same thing. It's in the same product line. It's not the exact same molecule. It's in the same product line. Only difference is it's 100 milligram tablet. And as 100 milligram tablet, you're going to need 10 days worth of it to be able to handle your sickness if you come down with the super pandemic. I won't be coming down with the super pandemic. I didn't get COVID. I haven't even had a cold in 6 years. So my point, didn't realize I'd go into that, but my point is that what I've been told and expressed is that MEB, maybe it is MEB. All right, yes, they're correct. It's MEB, my apologies, anti-parasite. It can treat worm infections such as pinworms, roundworms, hookworms. You can get a much bigger milligram. I got 100 milligram tablets. You guys will get creative. So, you guys can go to the internet. That's your source. You can find this stuff. It's not that hard. Read the reviews. Don't get yourself scammed. That kind of thing. All I was saying to you guys today is that would prepare you for something coming in your future, and it gives you plenty of time to do that. All of this lines up with about a decade worth of, maybe 12, 13 years worth of the tearing down effect, the destruction effect. You already heard Michelle White Dove say many, many souls will be leaving this planet. So don't be alarmed when you see everybody dying around you. You've already had that predicted. It wasn't in the Bible. It was just said by a modern day prophet. For me, there's no downside to being prepared for anything. There's no downside to being prepared to have to supply your own energy at your home. There's no downside to, your own medicine. There's no downside to having to prepare your own food and rely on yourself for food. There's no downside to that. There's only upside. I mean, what else are you going to spend the money on? A Z06, right? A car? A house, a boat, a wave runner, get yourself in a position to win no matter what's thrown at you. That's all I'm saying to you. We'll come to find out whether we see a super pandemic. I don't think that's anything the world's ever seen before. So it's the first time I've ever heard it talked about. And we'll see if that happens. If it does, bring it on. You throw a super pandemic at me and my circle will still be fantastic. That's a choice and a constitution you guys have to give. All right, guys, that's enough for today. George, thank you for stepping in a little bit there for me today. I appreciate that.
You are very welcome. And just to throw this in there, if you guys want to help each other, there's always comments below this when it's posted on the site, and you might be able to help your fellow binge team members there. Once again, thank you for joining us on this amazing Thursday. It is bright and sunny here. I hope it is bright and sunny where you are. If not, have an amazing rest of the day and a better weekend. Thanks a lot, everybody. We'll see you next week.